Welcome, one and all. My name is Dave Bradbury. I'm not Sam Roach Gerber, and I'll explain more in a moment. There's some seats up front for those in the back. We're so excited to end season 7 of the Female Founders Series tonight with a program on some of Vermont's new manufacturers. Really, really exciting. Again, this is our 7th season here at Hotel Vermont and with the Media Factory that tapes this and makes it available across public access media, both here in Vermont in all forms, and at times we've been picked up in 7 different states. So what you 3 will share tonight in your story will demystify, inspire, educate, petrify, and hope encourage folks to reach out for help as they consider a business or their journey with entrepreneurship. I also want to give a shout out if you have any challenges or problems during the event. Where's Nicole and our team? Raise your hand, Nicole. She's in the back. And then Emma's around here with a microphone toward the end. So again, thank you for coming out. Change happens by those who show up, who care, who listen, and contribute. I also want to thank Lindsay Curley, Secretary of Commerce, and Joan Goldstein, the Commissioner of Economic Development, for coming. You can tell it's a Monday when they leave the legislature in Montpelier to come out and do stuff they enjoy, meeting and sharing things with Vermont's entrepreneurial set. I have one other thing to recognize tonight. Elizabeth Hackett Robinson. Where are you, Liz? Of course, you're in the back. I don't know if we can get a camera on you or not, but Liz is a board member at VSET and was recently honored with one of her former students at Middlebury College, who made a $5 million gift to endow and name the Middlebury Innovation Hub after Elizabeth Hackett Robinson. Woo! Congratulations, Liz. I was only able to find 3 other centers like that in the country named after a woman. I'm sure there are more, but it's still grossly few. So congrats, Liz. We're proud of you and thank you. All right, enough of me, because Sam is probably listening. Sam came down ill this morning, so I have to be substitute Sam. She's sick. That's the white frame. There's been some confusion. This isn't a memorial for Sam, okay? But we like to razz one another in our team, so we got you, Sam, and miss you. So why don't we kick off for the event? We're going to chat and listen for maybe 45 minutes or so, and then we'll take some questions with a microphone at the end, and then leave time for some networking and snacks and more. So thank you, thank you. Now I have to transition over now, which is terrifying for me. Hello, everybody.
Hi, David.
All right. I'm petrified, so I'm definitely a microphone person, not this, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, so thank you all for coming. It's really, really going to be important to share your stories, how you got here, things you're still working on, if you're willing, and then how Vermont as a community has helped you, or are you up to help Vermont and give back? Because I know that's so important to all 3 of you and your businesses. And we're really pleased to have tonight Jane Sandelman with Vermont Dry and Cure and Cannatrol, Diane Abruzzini with Rigorous Technologies here. We got robots in the house, people, right? Robots in the house, right? And then Carey Strobeck with Fortitude and Fourbital Factory. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diane, can we start with you? Can you just introduce yourself and just say what Rigorous is and why you're doing it?
The last one's the harder part. I'm Diane. I run Rigorous Technology with my partner, Colin. We are an industrial robotics company, and we're building a software platform to make it easier to find, review, and successfully install industrial robots. We got into this field because my partner, he's a robot guy, and he spent the last decade of his career really learning the ins and outs of how to build robots from the ground up. And we wanted to transfer that knowledge to our regional community. And so we started Rigorous to help regional manufacturers find efficiency in an increasingly competitive global marketplace.
Wow. Wow.
You did great.
Carey, how about you? Can you just introduce yourself and what you're trying to accomplish?
Sure. First, thanks for
even thinking of me, having us here. I'm psyched you're bringing Rosie back from the Jetsons. I don't know who watched Jetsons their whole little life. I founded with a team of amazing people, 2 entities, a clothing line called Fortitude. It's 4T2D. And in that process, wanting to manufacture in the United States was a little more challenging than I had dreamed. So then decided to form Fourbital Factory. Yes, 4 is a number that means a lot to me. My soulmate and hubby and I have 4 kids. So Fortitude has that cool, everybody knows what that means. And our 20-year-old came up with the name Fourbital. There is an F orbital in chemistry. I'm not sciencey, but it makes a lot of amazing energy. So that's a little context to those two. We are in the Lake Champlain Chocolate Building on Pine Street. We acquired about 12,000 square feet. We have over 80 machines and about 25 amazing employees and colleagues. So we've got an in-house line, Fortitude. We have an education center. We're small brand manufacturing. We're trying to bring apparel manufacturing back to the U.S.
Awesome. And I love my hat. Right.
Yes,
Nice.
we are specializing in beanies right now. So let us know. We have a custom line and our own in-house line.
I have one too.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thanks.
Jane? No.
Okay.
We're on that.
I feel like we have Cannatrol beanies coming very shortly.
Yes.
Yeah, so
It's going to
Jane-
happen for you.
Yeah. Could you introduce yourself, please? And
So-
why are you doing this again?
Yeah, again.
Yes.
So I'm Jane Sandelman, and the company is Vermont Dry and Cure Technologies, once known as Cannatrol, but the banks freaked out with the canna in it, so we changed it to Vermont Dry and Cure Technologies, which actually makes a lot more sense in the long run because we provide drying and curing and storage technologies to the cannabis industry, and we work with both the home grow segment and also the commercial segment. We've got some technology. We've got a couple of patents on our technology. My business and life partner is a serial inventor, luckily for me. He developed this technology, actually pre-cannabis, for drying, for aging and curing meat and cheese. And about 4 years ago, he had the brilliant idea to try it on a cannabis flower. And we did, and the results were incredible. And we said, you know what, I think there's something here. And we started chasing it. And here we are a couple years later in a 10,000 square foot building in North Springfield, Vermont. And we've got 12 employees. We're looking to hire 3 more. It's been quite a ride, and we've had incredible support from VSET. Sam and Dave have been incredible, and it's been quite a ride. But it's been pretty interesting to be in the cannabis industry, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
Great. And thank you for weaving Sam's name into this periodically. That
Yes.
really, really will go a long way for our team. I appreciate that. Talk about your career path to this moment, Jane. It's a little unexpected.
Yeah. So I started as in corporate marketing. So I was, CPG, hardcore, very disciplined marketing, working for big consumer packaged goods companies. So that's really where I cut my teeth in marketing and learned about the important discipline and finance behind marketing. So that's really where I learned how to run a business and how to do good marketing. I guess about 22 years ago, Dave and I decided to leave the New York area. We were in the New York area and move to Vermont. And we were sort of done with corporate. And we came up here and we bought an abandoned inn. right? Doesn't everybody do that? So, right, that's why you moved to Vermont. So we hired a great chef out of Napa Valley, and we cranked the place up. And about 10 years later, we sold it. And we said to each other, let's retire. We're done. And that's while we were at the inn, while we owned this restaurant, we started working with local cheesemakers. And they kept saying to Dave, who was in the controls industry, I can't control the environment in my space. And Dave's like, let me tinker around, see if I can come up with something. And sure enough, he developed this technology, which we now have 2 patents on, a 3rd one in the works, and a 4th one, which I cannot discuss at this moment. But he, this is how the technology was originally developed. And then we sold the inn. We decided to retire. And then this whole thing happened where we started playing with cannabis, and lo and behold, we've got yet another business. So I guess I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur.
I would say so. Diane, what about you? What was prior to robots 24/7?
It's pretty different before robots, actually. I started my career working on diversified farms, focusing on vegetable production. And I spent the first 8 years really doing my best to make a life as a farmer. And there were things I loved about it, lifetime of learning. And there were things that were challenging, which was making a financial living. So I always had side businesses. I had an edible landscaping company. I eventually ran a wood-fired bakery, ran my own farm for a period of time. And really over time, I realized that running the small business was just as exciting to me as growing food. So I got an MBA at UVM, and that program really changed everything for me. I met a lot of mentors there, including Karn Cross, who's been just like an amazing professional peer, and well, not peer, he's a little bit above, but he's been just an amazing.
No, he's not. Dude, I'm barely into this. Yeah.
And I met a lot of people in that program who showed me that I could be just as successful in a corporate environment as I could in an agricultural one. And that was something that took me some time to figure out. After school, I did a number of things, including working at technology companies, working in finance. But really, I always wanted to start another company. And when my partner, Colin, had a similar goal, we started talking about what it would look like to start a company together. And that took a lot of time. We had to toe into the idea of, are we really going to be in a relationship and run a company together? What's that going to look like? What's the risk profile going to be? So we took a slow approach to it, where he started the company and I joined later. And, it's taken a lot of learning, but we found an amazing partnership where he owns the technical side and I own the business side. And we marry together in terms of strategy and business growth. So kind of a weird path to get here as well, but it seems to have placed us pretty well where we are.
That's great. Carey, did you always want to be the boss lady?
No.
No, how did this happen?
Definitely not. I'm a 4th born, so I'm a follower, definitely. But I've sort of married a bunch of my interests and background together. I have a degree in fine arts and education. I got to teach little people's 1st, 2nd grade for quite some time. Raised 4 kids. I'm a joy seeker, athlete. I like to look good, whatever I'm doing. So this whole trend of women athletes and getting to look stylish while you're out doing all your joy captivated me. And wanting to design a line that was made in the U.S. Was eye-opening. It's hard to find a manufacturer for a small brand. And once you find that manufacturer, even if it's your idea, that manufacturer wants to own your idea. and I wasn't really into that. And, you know, since 1975, about 80% of U.S. brands were made in the U.S. And by the 90s, 98% were manufactured overseas. Raise your hand if you have a grandmother that was really competent in sewing. Yeah, it's a dying industry, and I was excited to bring it back. I love teaching little peoples. We all have a learning style. Every one of us learns differently. It's not a learning disability, it's a style. Everybody's able to learn. And I wanted to bring apparel, sewing. These are sewists. These are sewing engineers. I want to help to bring that back to our country. And during COVID, I think I had this like eye-opening, like, well, what do I want to do? I think a lot of people in the room here were like, what are my passions? Like, what's my purpose? What do I want to wake up and do every day? If COVID did anything for us, that helped some of us. And so during COVID, I had all this kind of thinking. So I started Fortitude in 2020 with my friend Jordan Leach. And then only a year ago did we open Fourbital Factory. So we're babies. We're brand new. We're not even a year into this. And we've learned so much, and we have the most amazing team, and we're going to make amazing products, starting with the help of machinery. We have 2 circular knitting machines that make jacquard hats, and then we have a rib machine too. So we're kind of starting with that, but our in-house clothing lines are going to make everything. And as we learn, we teach what we're calling continuing thread. My friend Rob helped us with that. We have an education center. So we have an arm that's going to be a nonprofit. My friend Susan's helping me with that. And we want to help educate this secondary ed approach. There's a lot of kids out there that need a different style of education, not mainstream. And we want to offer that to high schoolers, summer programs, college. There's a lot of people that, want to learn other than the mainstream approach. Having been an educator, that satisfies about 51%. There's a other 49%, people like me, that mainstream education was, challenging. And I think there are people that want to learn in the workforce and the skill set, and we're going to try to tap that as well. So
Awesome. And you 3 make stuff, tangible things. And I'm curious, what's it like, Jane, manufacturing in Vermont? Is there anything that's particularly helpful or less so that you've noticed in your time?
It's, as you were saying, it's very hard to be an American manufacturer, but I think it's really important. I think bringing manufacturing back to the States is really, really important, and it's a priority for us, especially bringing that back to Vermont. We have a lot of challenges with the supply chain. I'm sure everybody understands that.
Mm-hmm.
Through COVID, it was a game of whack-a-mole. We were constantly re-engineering. Our business was accelerating like this, and we couldn't get parts. It was just nuts. Everybody was staying home and growing weed. And, right? Right? Come on, raise your hands. So, these our home units, we couldn't build them fast enough. So it was pretty crazy. The challenges are many. We're in southern Vermont, which is very different than up here. I always tell people, especially Sam, Hi, Sam and Dave.
Nice job.
That you do not need a passport to come south of Route 4. So anybody who wants to visit us, feel free. We speak the same language. It's all good. Same money's down there. So the labor force is not as robust in southern Vermont as it is up here. I think you guys still have labor challenges up here, but we have a lot of labor challenges. Space, suitable manufacturing space, it's hard to come by. We got lucky with our 10,000 square foot building. There's a lot of challenges, but it's very rewarding when you employ a dozen people, can give them benefits, can give them a 401k plan, give them steady work. It's pretty gratifying to see the manufacturing grow the way it has. So it's exciting. It's exciting, but it's a challenge.
Diane, what about you? What have your experiences been like? Like, I had so much pride saying, "Hey, I know a robot company in Fletcher."
I believe the words used were the robot company in the woods.
That's got a ring to it.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
got a good ring to it. It was pretty challenging in every other way to operate a business in the middle of Fletcher. But yeah, I would echo a lot of that. Space has been a real challenge for us. When we first got our big opportunity to build a full robotic system, which took up maybe 400 square feet, we needed industrial space just to even set the robot up and prove that we could do it. And Chittenden County, I think, had like 1% vacancy rates, which is even worse than the rental markets. So, our first opportunity was a friend renting us his machine shop in Fletcher. And that really gave us the opportunity to prove to our client, hey, we can do this, to the point where they moved forward with us to the full program. And from there, it didn't really get that much easier, but we basically ended up just cold calling property owners because we couldn't find anywhere to rent, and asking them if they were hoping to retire anytime soon and wanting to sell their business.
Wait, you're telling my story.
Is that what you did too? Yeah, we're not joking. This is how you get industrial space in this area.
It's true.
And you know what? Somebody said, I know a guy. Let me make an introduction. And so we worked with Vita and Vermont Federal Credit Union, and they helped us design a plan to purchase this building so that we could set up inside of it. And without that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today because we'd be doing things on a much smaller scale. I'm really excited to say we moved into an additional space just this week. So we are expanding, but still in a pretty small footprint. But it's a huge, huge barrier.
Do you find that landlords are a bit more terrified because of your robot when you come looking for their space? That intimidation going on?
That's a good question. I will say that some landlords who have really expensive properties think robots are super cool, and they're like, here, just move in. You'll move into the space gradually over time, which is great. But for spaces that we can afford at this stage of our business, they're very much like, sign all of these documents to make sure that nothing goes wrong. But
that's so cool. Carey, so this has been a couple years, right, that you're in it. Sam and I work with about 300 entrepreneurs and companies a year around Vermont. And we work really hard to try to come up with insights and that might help them not make a mistake or to do something a bit more incremental versus diving in head first. And this is the lessons learned. Is there anything over the last 2 years at this moment, these early days, that you're like, oh, damn it, I should have done this sooner or differently?
Like every day. And I'm a, constant learner. There is no expert. We pivot every day. We milestone and high five every day. I think what was tricky for us, speaking to the facility, it was like the chicken or the egg. We looked at a lot of different buildings, and we were so fortunate to acquire the north side of the Lake Champlain Chocolate Building. but were we ready? So, and to kind of, dissect a little bit back to the manufacturing question, we've had to invest a lot in training. So we were blessed with this big facility. We carved, on the west side, we have like a retail / like idea section. We have a full education center carved out. We have, huge manufacturing floor. So we were really lucky there. But we've invested in a lot in training our workforce. And it's a strategic investment. So would I have loved to have had this like amazing brand already and then, made in Vermont? So I think things happen for a reason. But it's been tricky. We are really fortunate to be in the Burlington area, in the South End district. There's a reason why we kind of wanted to be there. It's the art district. It has a history of manufacturing. People can get there. Whether you like public transportation or not, you can kind of get there. And we've been really, really fortunate in people want to have purpose in their everyday. And we've hired some amazing, dedicated team, want to learn, want to constantly strive and do better. We started with wovens and our beanies, but we keep progressing through wovens to knits. We're going to be doing seam sealed technical wear. I think our sewists are just so excited to every day they advance. And I'm a new sewist. I always thought, I love to like get in flow and focus with athleticism. But I'll tell you, if you're like on a Juki straight stitch and you're trying to like hone in on, you're, sewing a bandana and just that one particular stitch, you are like fully focused. And I don't know if anybody else is like me. I'm like a struggling juggler every day. And to like have that moment of pure focus is healthy for the brain. So it's challenging, but I like a good challenge. And I can't say enough about the team I'm surrounded with. That is a huge part of us making all these little baby steps to what our ultimate goal is.
Great. How many on your team now?
So we have 25, and I'm not going to say this in but we've got people that are psyched to be with us. So I'm so fortunate there, and we want to grow. It is, highly, dedicated on machines, but we need, amazing people too. And we have people from all kinds of education backgrounds that are just really excited to be in our facility. So 25, but we've got 5, maybe 4. So we have this education program. We teach about 5 at a time. And we are in our 5th, looking this spring to train our 5th round. And we have so everybody in our facility learns how to sew. We want everybody to cross train. If we got a big order, everybody could hop on a machine. So that is the goal. We got a lot of cross training. I think COVID taught us all that we got to multitask and be multi-skilled. So we're 25, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, awesome. Diane, what about you? Any lessons learned yet?
Yeah, somebody asked me the other week what our biggest challenge was, and I basically said, pick a card. We deal with a new challenge all the time, but the good news is that we're trying our best not to learn the same challenge twice. What's been a good one that we've recently learned? We found that, a good challenge that we recently overcame is We are selling a new product. It's a full robotic cell, so it does one specific thing. So we're basically selling a solution that replaces a job that is too much lifting, repetitive lifting for someone to do day after day. So this is a little vague, but so we're bringing this product to market, and we're starting to talk to customers about what it would look like for them to install these in their facility. And what we realized recently is that the machine that we feed actually caps out at a certain speed. So they're trying to sell all these high-speed systems, but they can't actually turn the speed up because it's too much lifting. So we've been going directly to our potential customers, but we're realizing that an even bigger sales channel is by partnering with the manufacturer of that machine, because they already have every customer that they already service who has their machine in place but can't turn the speeds up. So we're realizing that partnering with companies is a really good approach rather than just fielding inbound leads and cold calling similar buyer personas to get our product in the field. So
Good one. And how many on the team today?
we have 5 people on our team. Actually, this is a better one too. So we had
That's a setup. It better be.
this is a good one. So we had a team of 3, and we developed this entire robotic system just as a team of 3. And once we were ready to install it, because of major supply chain issues, our entire schedule got pushed back because we were waiting for just basic conveyors to arrive, which were critical to install. So we found ourselves running out of money because we had basically a fixed price contract and the time was ticking to install. But because we're a team of 3, we couldn't exactly do additional work and then still also manage the installation of this upcoming project. So we decided to step on the gas and we hired 2 more people so that we could take on other jobs. And so we had to, again, chicken and the egg, like I'm hearing all the same themes. We had to line up everything perfectly so that we had the new team members ready to work right as the new jobs were starting. And to make it even harder is we brought on these 2 new employees, and then basically everybody else left Vermont to go to New Jersey to go install a robot. So we basically are responding on Slack to this person at night and first thing in the morning, and he's just onboarding himself, getting up to speed. So that was kind of challenging culturally, and it took some time to kind of find our groove even once we got back from the installation. But Lisa Gronveld of OnLogic basically said, look, 2 weeks is too long for anyone to be sitting on feedback. You need to be talking to every employee one-on-one every 2 weeks. And so we put that into place, and immediately all of these issues kind of resolve themselves by being brought on the table and then giving us a path to resolve them. And ever since, it's just been a really core team of 5 that's just a joy to go work with every day.
Nice. All right, Jane, I really wanted you to think about lesson learned here. So,
Yeah, well, chicken and egg, it's a big concept that I think every founder struggles with. And probably for me, I would say that we should have had the confidence to go big early. We should have, my gut said, this is good. We had a great response from the market, but because it was just Dave and I and literally the kid that was mowing the lawn, that was my team. We hesitated to take that leap. And I think that if we had leaped earlier, we would probably be a little bit more ahead of where we are now. But we're in a great place right now. Our trajectory is huge. But I think if we had the kind of that confidence to say, we just got to do this. And until we recognized that we needed to bring on investors to really drive this business, and the minute we brought on investors, we were able to run. Because we were self-funded, we bootstrapped up to then. So I think we always held back a little bit because we were like, I don't know. But, we were using other people's money. Hey, just kidding, Dave.
whoa, that's close to home.
No,
for
it's
BSET. Yeah.
but you have, you bring in good people, you have good people around you, and that gives you the support that you need to make those decisions confidently. And I think it's, Eleanor Roosevelt said, the greatest time waster is regret. So I hate to look back and say, oh, I should have done. I like to just look forward and say, here's where we're going.
Well, was I just admonished for asking that question? Yeah. Was there any part of the fundraising process that had you been more familiar with or was demystified that might have gotten you that comfort level? Was it just this big, scary unknown given some of your backgrounds?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like what would be the crystal ball solution to that?
I think, the fundraising was a big mystery to us. We knew in a sort of what we needed to do and where we needed to go. My biggest piece of advice that I would give to anybody that's going out to fundraise is get good advisors who you trust and vet them and then trust them. I think that's the most important part of fundraising is understand your business and then know what you don't know and find people who can help you that you can trust. It's a pretty big deal.
Diane, how have you and Colin funded the business to date? I believe you used some grants early on to do some demonstration projects, customer money. Just can you describe some of the quilt that's been put together?
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, we've been entirely customer funded. We did a small USDA grant, which was our attempt to continue to interweave agriculture into our current business model. But most of our revenue comes from working with a customer who needs to automate a specific job on their floor, which is typically repetitive, dull, dirty, or dangerous. And so we'll work with them to design a solution in this really stepwise program so that it's kind of, we'll deliver a deliverable and then you'll give us a go or no go to move forward. And so that's how we got our first clients. We said, we'll do the conceptual design for you first. If you're on board with that, then we'll do all the engineering and we'll give you a really refined bill of materials. And if you're on board with that, then we'll do the hardest part of the project first so that we can prove to you that we can accomplish this. And if you're good with that, then we move into the rest of the program until we deliver and install. And so we take a lot of risk by doing those programs. And we also did some creative financial structures where we couldn't fix materials, and thank goodness, because 2021 would have been the wrong year to do that. But we did fix our time. So they knew, in essence, how much the program was going to cost in full. And that really worked out well for us, largely because we were able to deliver on all of the programs that we put forward. So it was really us betting on ourselves that we could accomplish these things where we didn't have the track record in industrial manufacturing to say, we'll just deliver this system to you over here. But now we're in a different position. We have working systems in the field. We're selling those as complete products. And we have kind of a robust clientele in this custom R&D space. So it's been a lot easier lately.
That's great. So it's stressful, right, to run a business. And Carey, I'm curious, how do you stay so calm and composed? Like, do you have what do you do? Did you go out and walk? Do you, sit in a corner with the lights off and try to stitch in the dark? Like, what is your method? Is there something? And I'm going to ask each of you this.
That's a tough question it is stressful. I think we all agree that you got to have an awesome team. So there is no I in team. So that's a very key part of this. I also think that, you can't sweat the small stuff. You have to persevere. When you fall on your face, you got to look at okay, I'm supposed to learn from that. How can I do this differently? Asking a lot of whys, having a lot of empathy. And I also think we all come into this world pre-wired. I'm definitely a human that freaks out. But I'm also fourth born. I had to sit in the back of the station wagon holding onto the turkey and, no seatbelts. I think I've loved being an athlete. You go into, whatever sport you are, you have no idea what's going to come at you. So you're going to play another team. You're going to do your best. You might win, you might lose. So I think key is surround yourself with people that have the same passion, drive, work ethic, energy, positive. There are aspects of having negative energy, and sometimes you got to deal with that. So we're really, kind of, considerate and protective of our team. And you got to, love it. There's got to be a lot of love in it. If you're not psyched to go every day and fight the fight, it only makes it that much harder. So I wouldn't be doing it if there are times on the weekend that I'm like, I could be doing work right now. So, that would be how you get through every day.
What about you, Jane? I think we invested almost a year ago, April, I think it was,
Yep.
right about a year ago, our
Thank you.
first investment. And you're always, I always like poking people a little bit just to see where they're vulnerable, and I can't find any of you. Like, what? How do you do it?
Okay,
And is
so
it just for me that
it's
you do
a
this?
lot of
Yeah.
it's for you.
Okay.
But I echo a lot of what Carey said about surrounding yourself with people that have good energy, that you can bounce off of. I always try to remember to breathe. That's really helpful because there are times when you feel like you can't. In this, sometimes being a founder, being responsible for people, I take it pretty personally. And I feel really responsible for my people. And I feel like if I make a bad decision, I could take them down. And that'll take your breath away. So that's probably the hardest thing. But I'm really lucky because I have a great partner. And we can sort of bounce off of each other. And he's picked me up off the floor more than once. But breathing is really helpful.
Okay. Diane, how about you?
I definitely get stressed out. I would say that I've gotten better at just taking punches because I feel like running a business is just a series of getting punched over and over again. so that when things are going well, you start to really enjoy the things that are going well because it's probably a day or two until somebody punches you again. And then you're kind of brought back down to reality of this is so incredibly hard. But I think one of those cases is, we've had clients that we thought we were bringing on in a certain time frame and you make all the plans around it and then things don't work out and you're just so disappointed because you envision what it would be like to have that partner. But we realized that, I think the biggest lesson I've learned in business is that you just give it time and then things kind of come together. And sometimes with these situations with clients who decided not to work with us, it just took maybe 4 or 5 months. And then they realized that they actually really wanted to work with us and were just kind of dragging or whatever reason it was. So I try not to think of the punches as these really final moments. And that kind of helps with the stress. I just kind of think of it as just prolonging something that I otherwise would have enjoyed to have come through.
Well, that's great. Thinking about the audience that will watch this video forever, any resources in Vermont or the region that you all found really helpful in getting your workforce onboarded or finance? I think you mentioned Vita earlier, which Cassie Polhemus, the CEO, is back there. Hey, Cassie. Anything in particular that you would share with other people to check out?
Have you guys heard of VSET?
Okay. That was for Sam. Yeah. Okay.
No, really. I mean, there are people in this community, Sam and Dave included, who just spend time helping you with your business, whether it's helping you think through the strategy for growth or helping you think through, I need to hire for this role. Let me look through my network of people who might be a good fit for that. And That's how we found one of our employees. That's how we've bounced a million ideas off of you. And that is completely invaluable for a young company that's really trying to figure things out. You know, we're trying to only learn each lesson once, but if we can get a few steps ahead by learning lessons from others, then we have a much better chance of survival. So I know it's kind of a weird play, but I'll plug VSEP for that
Well,
one.
thank you. That was terribly embarrassing for me. So, but I really though am interested. So Jane, you've worked with the local regional development corporation down there. Can you just explain what that is, or in every region in Vermont, and how they help?
Yeah, so this is a tremendous resource. I just echo the VSEP plug also, but we work with the Springfield Regional Development Corporation, and they gave us a low interest loan when we needed it, like really quick. And they've been a great resource for jobs, for finding people. They've led us to other grants. So seek out the regional development group in your area and talk to them. We also are working with the STEP program. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that program, but that you can get a grant for up to 75% of their cost of developing your business for international. So we're in the process right now of getting a CE certification so we can sell in Europe, which is going to be a huge deal for us. And the STEP program has funded all the certification. They can do fund the translation of your manuals, hook you up with all different people. So that's a great resource. And if you're doing any construction, also call Efficiency Vermont, because they're a great place to get grants and money for renovation. So there's a lot of money. Vermont's an amazing place. There's a ton of money. You just have to dig a little bit. But I do have to say that it does take a lot of resource to apply for these grants. So as someone with only two hands, sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge, but it's worth it.
What about you, Carey? Anything on the business, either city that was helpful or state of Vermont so far that you can recall?
Yeah, we're talking grants. That was, like I mentioned, we have 25 employees, and majority of them came in not knowing how to sew anything. So we have had access to workforce training grants. If not, we'd be spending thousands and thousands on training someone. So that has been really helpful. We did form an arm of our education center that's a nonprofit. So we're working with local schools. What's going to be Johnson State is Vermont State University. So we're hoping to collaborate with them and give other people opportunities to learn this trade. And then we've had really amazing support nationwide. I think many other education / apparel manufacturing facilities want to work together to bring this back to the U.S. There's an amazing facility in Detroit called Isaac. They've been an amazing resource to us. They've been heavily funded by Carhartt. If you have a teenager, your teenager wears a Carhartt beanie every day. And obviously, workwear or whatever, but Carhartt donated a beautiful facility in Detroit. On the first floor is their retail facility, and on their second floor is a whole education training facility. And we haven't been able to actually physically go to each other's spaces, but that's one example of an entity that has been, hand-holding us, guiding us, helping us with, grant funding. Here's what you want to do, what you don't want to do. They've been really helpful in our beanie. So it's just, not fearing competition. And we want to work together and finding other entities that can help with that.
Cool. I have a couple specific questions that well, actually, they're not mine. Sam did this for me. So I'm going to try to interpret Sam's work here because no one has said Sam for a while. So, thanks. So, Diane, robots, uncanny divide, all the rest. Should we be freaked out about automation yet? Like, where are we in sort of a robot adoption on a scale? Like, how early days are we sort of in the messy middle? What do you think?
It's a big question.
Sure is.
Well, we're not at the beginning, that's for sure. Industrial automation has been around since the 60s, which is fascinating to me. And a lot of the architectures of controllers are still based on that same theory of if input A gets pushed, then light bulb B turns on. And that kind of logic is how they're controlled. We're at a turning point for sure. The United States per capita is not the largest user of robots in the world. And we are seeing much more manufacturing coming back, getting reshored into the United States. So we're certainly seeing a lot of momentum in industrial automation. And there's more types. Now you have autonomous mobile robots, which will carry packages through the factory and not bump into objects. You also see robots like what we do, which are 6-axis arms that are flexible enough to do a wide variety of different tasks or be reprogrammed multiple times on a facility. But there are really big barriers for a lot of industrial manufacturers. Unless you can have an in-house robotics team, these people are really looking for robots that behave like machines. They want to purchase something that they know what it's going to do, at what speed, and how reliably. And that's a threshold that we haven't really crossed yet in industrial automation. Right now, it's much more, hey, robots are flexible. You have a need. Flexible tool fits your need. Let's see how it works out. And so we see a lot of momentum towards robotics in the United States, but we also see a lot of manufacturers decommissioning robots because they don't do the job quite as well as their staff do. And so I think it's a turning point. I think there are a lot of companies that are focused on solving these problems. And I think that robots are going to explode in the next few years as more manufacturing comes back to the United States and becomes competitive.
Got it. Jane, reshoring of your supply chain or production in the U.S., that's undeniable and happening, and it's really exciting. How do you see that impacting your business? Do you get more vertically oriented with more of the parts and pieces, or are you making efforts to find suppliers you could drive to in a long day, or you don't have to get in containers and ship over?
Yeah, right now we have a mix of components. We bring all our components in, and then we assemble on site. And it's a mix. Some of it is U.S. made, some of it is from China. And it's scary, the supply chain issues. So we are working to bring that all back to the U.S. and to onshore everything, to reshore everything. We think that it's going to give us a competitive advantage in the long run. We just believe philosophically that's important to reshore. And I think it's going to make us a lot stronger as an organization to do that. But it's a challenge, it's expensive. And luckily at this moment, we don't have any competition. Knock, knock. But, when they start knocking it off in China and selling it for a third of the price, it's scary.
Right. And what does your base appliance sell for that gets shipped through the mail?
So it's 1,600 is our consumer unit. And we can't build them fast enough.
Right.
So
about the size of a mini fridge? Or how do you describe it?
It's about the size of like a dorm fridge. And it actually the component.
Of course it is. Right.
So
of course it is.
There.
All right. Make a note to self. Does the 529 plan pay for that? Yeah, right.
Conveniently fits in your dorm room. But the outer cabinet is actually we purchased them from China from I think probably one of the largest manufacturers of refrigeration in the world, and we just buy the insulated box from them. So it's incredibly cheap to buy it. We've already worked on trying to reshore that component, and it's like 3 or 4 times the price. So it's a challenge. It really is. So we're actively working on this now. It's a big initiative for us, but it's not easy.
Good, thank you. And Carey, I was blown away with like the yarn samples. Like it must have been 200 different choices, and Jordan could tell us what was different with one and the other. All looked the same to me. Where do you find yarn like of that scale, and is it difficult to keep consistency? So like, is that blue hat going to be the same 6 months from now, or is it different?
It's difficult to find yarn for our specific machines. They take a certain size of fiber. We source, what you're looking at here is actually from New Jersey. Jordan and I went to a yarn show in New York. It was an Italian yarn show. Every awesome hand feel awesomeness that you could imagine was there. But we have, specific fiber size. I think where our challenge really is that we want to become less petroleum based. We want to go less plastic. We want to go more natural. But we want to go with a yarn or a fiber that is quality. It's got it's not itchy. It lasts a long time. Color fastness. I think the other challenge is just being a small brand. That's changing, but big brands get all the good stuff. It's minimum order quantities. So when you're a small brand, you get walloped by suppliers that are like, wait, what? You don't want like tons and tons of that. But we're constantly, and I have to shout out to Jordan, constantly looking for better, constantly looking for alternatives for our planet. And we're there. We're getting there. But then you get a sample and you're like, oh my gosh, it's modal. Modal is like a tree pulp. And, a lot of these tree pulp fibers are going to wipe out, petroleum based. I think they have a lot of the same capabilities, thermal regulating, soft, biodegrade. So you're like, oh my gosh, we got this cone. It's amazing. This beautiful color. And then it, pulls apart or the quality isn't there. So we're kind of like, when we formed our education center, we wanted to maybe we should have lab incorporated in that name, because we're constantly trying to find better quality, better for the environment. And that's a hard one because, there is no absolutism in sustainability or, being eco-conscious. I mean, you think from like the seed to the whole process of making something, to the care of it, to the grave, where did it come from? Deforestation, what's the labor like in this? I mean, there's no way to know. So we do our best. We're psyched on our, what's going to be our offerings and composition in the future. Right now, this is 100% acrylic. That is a petroleum-based product. It is going to last our entire lifetime. So that has a sustainability part.
That's the
of
type of hat I buy. So thank you.
And, you don't wash it very often. We all are guilty of not washing your hats very often. So, it's just riding that wave of what's going to be better in a lot of ways. So it's challenging, but, back to the team, we're all have a focus, same value. What can we provide that's good for us and good for the planet? So that's the ultimate always goal.
That's great. Y'all take a couple questions from the audience. Is that good? Emma, if there's some questions. We have a few minutes, so if you hold your hand up, we could try to find you through the light. Over here, Emma. Yeah.
Thanks. This question actually is for Carey. Can you talk a little bit about the, I think, reemergence of the textile industry in the Northeast? I mean, this used to be textile capital of the world, and of course that's all gone away, but you're bringing it back, and others I think are bringing it back. But what has it been like? What's been your experience with other companies or suppliers, or what's the interest level in our region for bringing textiles back to this region?
So I encourage all of you to come to our facility. The way that we renovated and formulated how our space was going to be. Right, if you're going to go get some chocolates at Lake Champlain, just walk a little bit north. Then you can go into our door. And as you're in our retail space, we're not open all the time. But when we are open, we have interior windows that link into our education center. And then once you can see our education center, you can see then into our factory. We have a mission to educate a consumer. It's possible here. It is possible to manufacture in our country. If you think about, everybody here probably owns something from Patagonia. We're all guilty. Patagonia manufactures most of their technical wear, many of the products that we all wear in Vermont when we ski and snowshoe and go outside in the rain. We buy a lot of our technical wear from a brand that manufactures in Vietnam. Why? Because they're skilled, really highly skilled laborers. Not judging, I'm just telling you. Most of those laborers make $2.10 an hour. They live in a dormitory. And if that's, the way that they want to live their life and what they're accustomed to, I'm not knocking it. I'm just giving you the facts. For us, if you have an idea and you say, I want to make this coat, you have to come up with funding. Then you got to find someone that's going to make you a tech pack. You got to make a prototype. Then out of that prototype, you got to grade it. So you got to make an extra small all the way to an extra, whatever size you want. All those samples have to be made. Then all of that, if you're doing that overseas, is shipping back and forth. Burton is about 4 years ahead of the product that you buy today. So a lot of this takes time. And I think that you can pay a skilled laborer a living wage, which we do. We offer full health benefits. With all of that shipping and time and blah, 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 not to mention in fast fashion, I'm guilty of it too. We all buy the t-shirt for $2 at Target. A lot of that, if it's not bought because the color or the size or the quality, 30% of garments that are made in the world go directly to landfill. You think they go to Goodwill, but they go landfill. Also, if you manufacture overseas, part of your cost is that you got to get rid of the waste. So, and that's more landfill. So I think just trying to be a conscious brand, a conscious manufacturer, educating consumer, maybe you want to think. Look at all the engineers that work in our building. Is this a product that, if you're kind of I'm tired of this, could you do what a lot of these millennials and Gen Zs, and they're all psyched on repurposing and reselling. Is that, where we should be headed? Can I wear something a long time? It's going to be quality. It's going to be made from material that is going to last a long time, or can get, somehow, nature has no waste, right? There's no waste in nature. Everything is recyclable. So we can do that as well. I just think, consumers have to change. And not all consumers will, and that's okay. But some consumers will be psyched to support a local brand because it supports their local community and there's a carbon footprint, and there's people involved in this. I think we are utilizing machines. We have a huge laser cutter that takes place of 5 cutters. It does it right there at minimal waste. We're using our fabric waste now. We're going to make other things out of it. We're not going to go landfill with our clean waste. So I think there's an opportunity. I think just people have to see beyond what they're used to. So I'm hoping that we're part of that change.
Yeah, it's really cool when you see the classroom, the factory, the showroom right there. Is there a hand up for a question for the panelists? Lindsay. Oh, I'm so glad. I was going to call you out too. So this is really, really awesome.
You may laugh because maybe I should know this, but I want to know, Jane. So, federally, we haven't approved cannabis.
Right.
So your product could be used for cannabis, or as I understand, could be used for something else.
Right.
So if you needed funding for your product, can you go to a traditional lender and get funding since it can be used for anything, or are they already like, no?
Yeah. So what's interesting about our business is we're considered an ancillary business. So we don't touch flower. So we're technically just a we're a manufacturer of machines. We service the cannabis industry, but we've found that banks are a little twitchy, even with being an ancillary business. They're still a little bit standoffish, which is why we changed our name from Cannatrol to Vermont Dry and Cure. We're lucky that we have a great relationship with our local bank, and they've been really, really good with us. But I think we'll be okay if we do want to get more money. But I think we just have to work with bankers that know us and trust us. Those people are, still a little twitchy about cannabis.
Can I ask a follow-up as long as it plugs VSET?
Doesn't aren't you sweet? Yeah, it doesn't have to.
Okay, so my other question would just be, and any one of you can answer this, but just curious, like when you get this idea to create, how did you come to land with VSET? Did somebody say you need to go see VSET? Was it advertising that you saw? I'm just, again, sometimes people come to me and say, I want to start a business. I don't know where to begin, or I have an idea. I don't know where to begin. And we have a tendency in different scenarios to recommend different people. And I'm just curious how you found VSET.
I found VSET actually on the internet. I had not heard of VSET, and we had just put our deck together, and I was literally like just Googling funds in Vermont, and I think I sent an email to Sam, and and there was no phone number on the website, so I sent an email, and she called me back, and we had a call, had a great talk, and she said, yeah, send your deck over, and we kind of just went from there, and I was just really thankful to find both Sam and Dave, because they gave us some great advice, and they believed in us from the start. So it's been a great experience with VSET.
Wow. This shouldn't be a performance review. Okay, so I wasn't prepared for that. And keep the mic away from Karn, please. Please. Wonderful. Any other questions or comments? And Dwayne doesn't get the mic either. Yeah. Was there a question I didn't ask you that you expected?
Yeah.
We're
I
getting toward
really
the end.
appreciated the stress question, I have to say. I think it's important to talk about, too. Maybe a question that I would ask, if I'm allowed. Am I allowed?
Totally. This is Sam would never allow it, but I'm saying go for it. Go for it.
What are you most excited about in the next stages of your business? What's coming next?
Yeah, I'm really excited about bringing really good technology that people need. when I worked in corporate, I worked on soap and mouthwash and aftershave and things like that. And while you have huge budgets that are really fun to work with, and I, did NASCAR and all this great stuff, nobody needs carpet freshener, really. It's just nobody needs it. But we sell a boatload of it because we have all this money, all this marketing money, and we just, tell people they need it. But here, we've actually developed a technology that is benefiting an industry. We're changing an industry, and that is really, really cool. It's really gratifying to come in and really change things and have people use your product and say, wow, you changed my business. That's huge. So that's what I'm looking forward to, plus employing people and all of that other really great stuff. But
good question. It's hard to, nail it down to one thing. It's we're trying so many aspects to this business. I'm excited for our education. That's deep in my heart, and it's really cool every day to see people just every day advancing on their skills. We're hoping to be prototyping sampling. So some of our sewists that started in May are becoming sample sewists. I mean, they have advanced so much in 10 months. That's so exciting on an every day to see just the milestones every day. To see, our creations like go from, here to a tech pack. You get the sewing ops, you see it cut, it's all bundled up, it goes to one sewist to the next. To actually see it and like wear it, so exciting. Like we've all said, it's a challenge, but if you can't just breathe and accept it and learn every day and overcome and go back to why you did it all, it's, but you're not in it for the right reasons. How about you?
I'm really excited to build out our team, especially on the business side. Everyone on our team is an engineer except for me. So we've been able to do some really amazing projects. But I feel like this next stage of the business is, we've kind of proven our right to be here as a robotics business in Vermont. And now is just execute on the plan that we've been putting in place. So yeah, I'm excited to put some people and run the play.
You could be the substitute for Sam next time. All right, I want my microphone job back. So it's 7:00, so we need to wrap it up here. I want to thank Hotel Vermont, the Media Factory, for our longtime partners here as we conclude season 7. Also a shout out to Jody Cole and M&T Bank. No one knows this yet, but they've become the largest financial supporter in VSET's history from a private source. So woo-hoo. It means the world, and we get to work with folks all around Vermont. So just keep it quiet. We'll announce it someday. And really join me, please, in thanking Carey, Jane, and Diane for sharing your stories, your hopes, your lessons learned, and I cannot wait to watch your journeys forward. So thank you.
thanks, David. Thank you.
And that's a wrap.